Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Yakubu Seni, representing Kogi Central. The motion seeks to address the growth of digital technology and the challenges of cyber crime, urgent need to safeguard the future of Nigeria. Co-sponsors, all. The Senate note that the growth of digital technology, otherwise referred to ICT revolution, has brought about improved performance in all aspects of society. It is an economic development pillar guaranteeing national competitive advantage. It has led to rapid global communication and networking, provided ease in finding detailed answers to millions of questions every day, accelerated the growth and penetration of mobile telephone and its associated multimedia services, and indeed propelled increased end successes in all human endeavor. Further note that the world has moved into the blazing digital ecosystem, accelerating at the speed of thought with very effective concepts and disruptive innovation models such as Internet of Things, IoT, big data, robotics, machine learning, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain implementation, and other emerging technologies achieving rapid improvement in the knowledge society. Observe that digital technology also promises to make the world a much safer place, as traffic authorities anticipate a vast reduction in traffic fatalities, with possibility of saving nearly 300,000 lives over 10 years, with the deployment of autonomous vehicle technology, and as crime statistics could drop by over 20% with deployment of metropolitan sensors and cutting-edge home security remote monitoring devices, among other advantages. Worried that the gain of digital technology are being dampened by rapid evolution of cybersecurity threat landscape, with increased attack in both sophistication and severity. Reports indicate that there is currently a dramatic rise in cybercrime, such as the ransomware epidemic, the refocusing of malware from personal computers, PCs, and laptops to smartphones and mobile devices, the deployment of billions of underprotected Internet of Things, IoT devices, the legion of hackers for higher and more sophisticated launching of attacks on government, businesses, educational establishments, defense infrastructure, etc. Further worried that nefarious cyber-related activities are already costing the world huge losses in trillions of dollars. Recently, the NotPeg malware causes billions of dollars in damage in many industries around the world. Global ransomware damage alone has been predicted to cost the world over $11 billion in 2019 and $20 billion in 2021. It is also predicted that a business will fall every 14 seconds in 2019 and 11 seconds in 2021, and that overall cybercrime is predicted to cost the world over $6 trillion annually from 2021 as predicted. Alarmed that Nigeria is already plagued with the destructive cyber crisis. Reports indicate that in 2017 alone, the country lost about $649 million, i.e. over 250 billion naira, to cyber crimes activities. The 2018 report of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, indicates that there was 37,817 reported fraud cases within the year, out of which 59.2% were internet and technology based, costing businesses in Nigeria several billions of naira. It is also indicated that over 81% of cybersecurity incidents in the countries are either unreported or unresolved, leaving room for the proliferation and escalation of illicit cyber activities. In fact, the recent apprehension of 77 cyber criminals by the FBI, several of whom are Nigerians, leaves much to worry about. Concerned that Nigeria still lag behind in infrastructure sophistication, data management, and digital security and know-how, which are critical to the development agenda. In fact, federal allocation to ICT sector of the economy can only be considered as lip service compared to the enormity of challenges therein. Manpower development in digital technology is equally a far cry. Even in Africa, Nigeria is at the bottom of cybersecurity in manpower ratio to total population. Our institution of learning do not seem to understand the world we are living in today. Indeed, our cybersecurity consciousness and awareness rating does not come before that of any other country in the world. Aware that the 8th Senate, desirous of keeping the country ahead of the cyber challenge, had mandated the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to interface with stakeholders, and that the committee kick-started the process accordingly, and convinced that the bar for digital readiness and cybersecurity must be raised in Nigeria, must speed up to the digital ecosystem and proactive cyber awareness and intelligence, as well as properly position herself for unending economic development opportunities that come with ICT. Accordingly, resolve 1. To mandate the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to re-establish engagement with stakeholders with a view to galvanizing a comprehensive and broad-based approach to addressing Nigeria's digital technology and cybersecurity crisis and safeguarding the present and future of the country. 2. Further mandate the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to establish strategic engagements with MDAs with a view to ascertaining their ICT shortfalls, cybersecurity constraints, data management challenges, and possible remediation measures. 3. To permit the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to make input to budgetary provisions of MDAs on information and communication technology and cybersecurity issues with a view to ensuring appropriate funding of the all-important areas of concern. And finally, urge the federal government to deliberately take up measures to improve on budgetary provision for and attention to the development of digital technology and cyber dependency safety. I so move. Thank you.
My name is Issa Jibrin, representing Kogi East. I rise to support the motion just moved by Senator Yakubu Seni in respect of the growth of digital technology and the challenge of cybercrime and an urgent need to safeguard the future of Nigeria. I so support it.
It's very, very important and timely. I remember, because of the importance of cybercrime and so on, there was a cybercrime bill that was passed in the 8th Senate, and it was signed by Mr. President. In fact, there is a cybercrime committee currently that is supposed to be chaired by the National Security Advisor of this country. So this is very important and fundamental. Like you said, about 700 million is being wasted or stolen almost every month due to cybercrime from the banks. And you can see if you go to the database how Nigerian data are being attacked. You can see them coming from all angles. They come from every part of the world. So I think this is very important. I support it. But most of the items he mentioned here in the press have been taken over by events, particularly in that cybercrime bill. Because it is now an act. So I really support this bill. It's very, very important.
District, I rise to support this motion because most advanced countries today, their economy depends on technology. And when we are talking of digital economy, there is no way we cannot integrate all the technological, all the departments that has to do with technology in this country together so that they can synergize. I think he brought a very important motion at this time that all over the world, the economy depends on what technology can bring. And as such, I'm supporting this motion wholeheartedly, and I believe that if we do, the Nigerian economy will also benefit from it. I so call on all my distinguished senators to support this motion and give it all the necessary ingredients that will make it work. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Stella Odua.
Colleagues, my name is Stella Odua and I represent Anambra North. Mr. President, my take on the bill, first of all, I want to support this wonderful bill. My take on it is that it's not strictly talking about cyber crime. It's talking about the gap that exists on that. And I want to take it from a different angle. I want to talk about the potential loss that we have today for not participating fully in cyber opportunity. And that, for me, means the technology and the ICT part of it. Mr. President, Microsoft announced 2 years ago that in the next 5 years they are going to have 228,000 jobs that are going to be technology, ICT related. My concern is that we are not nearly prepared to participate here. Mr. President, an average ICT worker earns on the average of $10,000. Let's take a coder. It means that in my village, I can have a young man or a young woman who will be certified to be a coder. And when they are coding, they earn 10,000. Just imagine what that would do to my community, or any community for that matter. But then you take it the other way. We have school curriculum that has zero on curriculum that has to deal with ICT. We have graduates that may not have even sighted computers, talk less of using computers. And then you have the global economy that is based on ICT. We also, back home here, we have the youth. That demography is growing on a double digit. And they consist almost 40% of our total population. It just doesn't work. And so the gap I see here and the opportunity loss, I think, is unnecessary. And so my support for this bill is that we must ensure that not just that we domesticate ICT in all our schools, but to make sure that the budgetary allocation speaks to this gap. Mr. President, unless we increase our budgetary allocation, unless we refocus our educational system and ensure that our curriculum is in tandem with the global trend, and understand the fact that unless we prioritize ICT, unless we prioritize innovation, we will not be able to participate in the economic growth, globally at least. And we will not have adequate foundation, nor are we going to have the skills that are requisite for our tomorrow. I think this particular motion is very pivotal. I think it's very crucial, and I support it. I think Ministry of Education should review again the curriculum to ensure that we have in all of them mainstream ICT and innovation. I think it will go a long way in helping our children to grow. I think it also will ensure that these lost opportunities and potentials that we have on a daily basis is to a large extent curtailed. Mr. President, I want to support this bill again, and I think my colleagues should all support this particular motion.
On ICT and cybercrime to re-establish engagement with stakeholders with a view to galvanizing a comprehensive and broad-based approach to addressing Nigeria's digital technology and cybersecurity crises and safeguarding the present and future of the country. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Further mandate the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to establish strategic engagements with the MDS with a view to ascertaining their ICT shortfalls, cybersecurity constraints, data management challenges, and possible remediation measures. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Permit the Committee on ICT and Cybercrime to make inputs to budgetary provisions of MDS on information and communication technology and cybersecurity issues with a view to ensuring appropriate funding of the all important areas of concern. Before I put this prayer before I put the question, our committees have their jurisdictions clearly defined, and I don't think the committee should go into other committees and start drawing budget for them. I think that will lead to some bit of crisis. So I don't know whether the mover of the motion can amend it or. But this is the way, because our committees, each committee has a jurisdiction, even though we are going to amend the standing orders. But if you ask that you as a committee should go into other MDS, for example, if you go to communications, NCC, we have a committee there. Or in fact, any other MDA that is really supervised by a standing committee or a series of standing committees, that will lead into crisis. Or you may explain what you refer to this.
The Committee on Crimes, for example, the EFCC and other areas in terms of the curbing of cyber security. If we want to see what gadgets, what are the provisions they have in really fighting the cyber crime in Nigeria, because we see that it is just coming up and it needs to be nipped on the board, and we have to pay a rapt attention to that now before it goes out of hand. And
we agree there is need to ICT things. Do you then go into the committee or the MDA and say what do they need? Because the committee is already there. Anyway, I don't know. Is there any?
Your Excellency, my thinking here is that honestly,
one area Nigeria can make a lot of gains, not only in terms of giving capacity to our population, especially the youthful population, but even in terms of gaining revenues and from what they would have been maybe trained to do. So it's one area that we really need to look at. And the Ministry of Education, the Federal Ministry of Education particularly, is supposed to take the lead, but I believe that the National Council on Education, that includes the states, really need to work together with the Federal Ministry of Education to ensure that this has become part and parcel of our educational system, because we have to move away from the 18th century curriculum that we are still using in most of our educational institutions. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate.